Hello world, I'm MJ and this is Film Philosophy. Today we're going to talk about the 1972 film, The Poseidon Adventure. This ensemble film would be a start of many disaster films that would be showcased around the 1970s. A winner of 2 Academy Awards and a Golden Globe, this film talks about fate, the belief of oneself, and importantly, hope. We have a lot of actors to cover, so let us begin. The Poseidon Adventure was based upon a novel that was written by Paul Gallico. Now, Gallico is an American novelist, short story, and sports writer. Some of his well-known published books are The Adventures of Hiram Holiday, Love of 7 Dolls, Mrs. Aris Goes to Paris. The screenplay is written by Wendell Mace and Sterling Siliphant. Mace is well known for his works such as The Spirit of St. Louis and Death Wish. Siliphant is an award-winning writer who is also known for another disaster film, The Towering Inferno. The film was directed by Ronald Neame, who is a British cinematographer, producer, screenwriter, and director. As a cinematographer, he is known for his works such as The Great Expectations and Oliver Twist. As a director, his credited movies are The Card with Alec Guinness, The Prime of Miss June Brody with Maggie Smith, and Hopscotch with Walter Matthau. Now let's get to the cast because we have a lot. Reverend Scott was portrayed by Gene Hackman, who is a multi-award winning actor best known for his works such as Unforgiving and The Royal Tenenbaums. Mike Rogo was played by Ernest Borgnine, who is a multi-award winning actor. He is well known for his works such as Escape from New York and Dirty Dozen. Stella Stevens as Linda Rogo is well known in television. She guest starred in The Love Boat and Murder, She Wrote. The Rosens was played by Shelley Winters and Jack Albertson. Now, Shelley Winters is a well-known award-winning actress, best known for her works at Lolita and Alfie. Albertson, on the other hand, is a well-known actor, dancer, singer, and comedian. He is well known for works such as Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Miracle on 34th Street. The Shelby kids was played by Pamela Sue Martin and Eric Shea. Now, both kids are well known in television. Martin is well known for her portrayal of Nancy Drew and her regular appearance in Dynasty. Shea, on the other hand, guest on TV shows such as Batman, The Adam West One, and The Brady Bunch. We are already familiar with Roddy McDowall, who portrayed as Cornelius in Planet of the Apes. Red Buttons portrayed James Martin, who is an award-winning comedian and actor, best known for works such as Sayonara and The Harlow. Nani Perry was played by Carolyn Lindley, who is an American actress and former child model. She is also known for other disaster films such as The Elevator and Flood. Leslie Nielsen played as Captain Harrison. He is a well-known comedian and actor throughout the years, and some of his well-known works are Airplane and Naked Gun. The music was composed and arranged by John Williams. He is well known for other works such as Star Wars, Superman, and Indiana Jones. Now let's get to the character study. This film shows us a spectrum of people that is in a particular point in their lives. Let's begin with Reverend Scott, the rebel. He is a realist, unorthodox, believes in the ability of oneself, and he has faith in humanity rather than prayer. He believes in taking actions and finding a solution to the problem rather than just having blind faith. Now, the Rogos, the lovers. Mike Rogo is by the book, believes in structure and authority. The one thing that we're sure of is that he loves his wife very much. Linda Rogo, on the other hand, is somebody that you would not expect for somebody like Mike to marry. When you really think about it, they are kind of the opposite from one another. Now let's get to the Rosens, the old couple. They are the type of person who is already at the latter end of their life. They've already had children and grandchildren. They spoke of this during the movie. They're the type of people who would like to look out for other people because not everybody is as fortunate as they are. Now let's talk about the kids, the Shelbys. They represent the future and the responsibility of all adults to look after. They are not regarded as kids. They went on a journey because of what Robin said. Now let's talk about the other people. Nani and Martin. Now Martin, as Mrs. Rosen would say, is a lonely person, but that doesn't totally mean it's a bad thing. He is the type of person that craves attention but doesn't totally see it that way. We saw this at the beginning of the movie when he was taking out his pills. But regardless of these facts, he is kind, empathetic, and patient. especially the Nani. He is the type of person that doesn't condone conflict. He is the one that breaks it up. Nani is the type of person that needs the help the most in this film. And thank God for Martin. Now let's get to the philosophy of this film, mainly focusing on Reverend Scott. It is hard to imagine a person like Reverend Scott, for he is a man of faith. But for him, faith goes hand in hand with doing something about your needs and worries. For him, blind faith is illogical, and a simple prayer won't do the job. Action is preferable to prayer. He doesn't believe on the power of this act and the comfort it provides to the devout. The plan makes sense. You go up to the bottom because the ship is upside down, and you go to the engine room where the hole is the thinnest. But this is all based on the words of a young boy. Reverend Scott could be wrong. The hole could not be any less thick in the engine room or in any other part of the ship. Scott wants the best for the survivors and to see them to safety, no matter how questionable his actions and decisions are. This is clearly shown in the middle of the film where the survivors are heading down to the bow. How sure was he that the engine room is not flooded or destroyed? After the bet he made with Rogo, he saw the way to the bow was blocked, and for a brief moment, he doubted himself. But Susan came along and showed her faith in his ability to get them through, reassuring him that he has a job to do and wallowing in sorrow is not going to help. Sometimes in life we need a little reassurance from others, whether it is risky or not. It may be blind support, but it gives us focus on the things that we want to do with our lives. The survivors supported one another, not just how Susan was with Scott. We have Martin comforting Nani when she was distraught by the loss of her brother. We also have the Rosen talking to one another about seeing their grandchild again. They all tried their best to make light of the situation. They tried to smile and focus on the things that mattered. Life and hope. In the movie, we saw a lot of death, but some deaths are sacrifices, like the one with Mrs. Rosen. Akers showed the way at the beginning of the movie, regardless of his injury. These sacrifices are a heavy burden to Reverend Scott, for it is his decision that made them go on this journey. The toast that he made during the New Year's Eve party, to love, is something that he believes in. Granted, Rogo took it the wrong way, but we saw its meaning to Reverend Scott when Linda died. Scott understands love very much, regardless of him being a self-proclaimed renegade. He has love for his fellow man. He attempted to convince the people twice to follow him up the tree, to safety, to life. It is the same love that he shows the Shelbys, the Rosens, hell, even the Rogos. Rogo was always the one that kept Scott in check, always reminding him of these uncertainties. Rogo and Scott is somewhat similar when you really think about it. Not just because they're stubborn, but there is one more trait. Both want the best for everybody and their safety. Both are motivated by love. Rogo to Linda and Scott to his fellow man. Now let me take you to the sermon that Reverend Scott did at the beginning of the movie. Resolve to fight for yourself and for others and for those you love. That part of God within you will be fighting with you all the way. Scott believes this wholeheartedly, and this was put into test. And he found it to be a much more difficult task, because not everybody is as strong as him in terms of strength or faith. Akers fell because he was injured. Mrs. Rosen died because she was old. Father John's words of, "You only spoke for the strong," is true at this point. Scott took it personally. Rogo's words of, "You almost suckered me in. I started to believe in your promises, that we had a chance." What chance? You took from me the only thing I ever loved in the whole world. My Linda. Scott can understand circumstances of death like Akers or sacrificial ones like Mrs. Rosen, but Linda's, it was the last straw. The meaningless death of Linda Rogo is what put him on edge. He saw it not an unfortunate circumstance, but God working against them. In Christianity, there is this saying that a shepherd never leaves his flock, no matter how lost or astray they become. It is hard for a shepherd to leave his flock into uncertainty. If Reverend Scott could help it, he would not let any of his people die. The reason why Rogo's words hit Scott hard is because one of the sheep from his flock is losing faith to his beliefs. In the movie, he asked Father John, "What good your life then? What's it all been for?" He responds saying he has no other choice, staying to the people who are lost and hurt. Scott has trouble accepting this and would rather take action to ensure their survival. Their journey to the engine room made him realize what Father John meant, that faith is not only for the strong, but also for the weak. In the end, he sacrificed himself, going against his one-sided faith for the strong to make way for the weak and lost. It is easy to get swept up by our beliefs and stand in life, but we shouldn't really forget that our time here is a short one, and the one that would benefit the most because of our existence is the next generation. The sacrifices that we make to our loved ones and to the other people may set an example for the future. To end this video, I would leave you to Reverend Scott's sermon at the beginning of the movie. The individual is important only to the extent of providing a creative link between the past and the future. in his children, or his grandchildren, or his contributions to humanity. That concludes this week's video. I hope you guys like it. And if you feel like I've forgotten anything, comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and next week we're going to talk about the 1965 film, The Flight of the Phoenix. Watch it, and I'll see you next week. Peace.